Welcome back to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out my collection of the rarest Jurassic Park and Jurassic World figures. First, I just bought some Jurassic Park sets off of eBay. The first one is the Alan Grant with double-barreled bola launcher from the Jurassic Park new Series 2. Let's check this out. So there's Dr. Alan Grant. We've got a variety of tools here as well as a little dinosaur. And way up at the top here, you can see that it's some type of claw contraption or something used for trapping dinosaurs, it looks like. Now, I'm not gonna open this up because this is a collectible and I wanna keep it in this condition since it's unopened right now. But I still have another figure from eBay that I just bought that we're gonna check out as well. This is the Compsognathus, or at least I think that's how you pronounce it, codenamed Lasher from Jurassic Park Chaos Effect series. And this dinosaur is super colorful. It's got some light blue-green over its body with the black, it's got some yellow, it's got some orange, it's got blue right on its nose. So this will be super cool to add to my collection too. And as you can see, it is a combination dinosaur of a Compsognathus, a Stegosaurus, and an African tree frog. That is pretty wild. As you'll notice with basically all of these figures are discontinued, so you won't be able to find them new anywhere. You might be able to find them on eBay or something like that. But this first one is a Jurassic Park Allosaurus. And this figure actually has multiple pieces of battle damage that you can completely take off. And this front battle damage actually has multiple layers. You can take off the ribs to see the stomach underneath, and then you can just cover it back up with the skin, just like that. You can also remove the thigh on this dinosaur, see the flesh underneath, as well as on the tail. You can rip off a piece of the tail and see the bone and flesh underneath too. Back here, we've got one of the original Tyrannosaurus Rexes from Jurassic Park. This figure has some pretty unique coloring over its body. It's got the clay red with the black spots and stripes. It's got the lighter underbelly. It originally had sound effects, and its whole body is a soft rubber, which is a common theme with the older figures. Right here, we've got a T-Rex from Jurassic Park: The Lost World. This is the Thrasher Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it also has a soft rubber body aside from the arms and the legs. And with this T-Rex, you can actually wiggle the tail to control the face and the neck, move it back and forth. All right, I know you've been keeping your eye on these huge T-Rexes on the side. This super colossal T-Rex is one of a kind, and that is because it is actually custom colored. It's got a light tan body all around. It's got some interesting shadowing and detail all over. It's also got some super dark red eyes and some interestingly colored teeth too. So those are darker teeth than what's normal. So while you may be able to get a super colossal T-Rex, you will not be able to buy one that is this color. Next up for the one-of-a-kind super colossal dinosaurs is this T-Rex. And this has some of the craziest custom coloring out of any figures that I've seen. It looks like a fire T-Rex. Got the bright red over its belly and sides. It's got the glowing orange right next to the black, and then the black top. This is a super cool one-of-a-kind T-Rex. And for our final one-of-a-kind, custom-colored, super colossal dinosaurs is this Velociraptor. This, I think, has some of the best custom coloring out of any figure that I have. It is so detailed and so well done. It's got the black body with these brown stripes, and there's even these little gold specks along its brown stripes as well. My favorite part though are the eyes. These are incredibly detailed. It's like a gold eye, but then it's got red towards the center and then the black pupil. You will not be able to find another super colossal Velociraptor with this coloring anywhere. Here we've got a Jurassic Park Stegosaurus with battle damage right on the shoulder. This figure has a somewhat soft rubber body. The tail is especially rubbery, so you can swing that back and forth with those spikes at the end. And it has a very natural green and brown and light tan coloring all over its body, so it really blends into the jungle. This giant T-Rex, I believe, is the Jurassic Park Lost World Bull Tyrannosaurus Rex. This T-Rex has some pretty unique coloring with this green-blue color on the sides. It's got some light brown on its legs as well as along the top of its body. It's got some marble eyes that are green, And I don't have the piece anymore, unfortunately, but originally it was able to swallow, I think, a cage that had a man inside. So this thing could actually swallow humans or dinosaurs or whatever you want, and you can release it from the stomach right in there. Next up of my rarest figures is this Jurassic Park Lost World Pteranodon that was nicknamed the Steel Beak. This figure's pretty old and fragile now, but it's one of the few figures that has a fabric wing on it, as well as spring-loaded joints for the wings, so it can swing forward and it swings back, just like that. Next up is the Jurassic Park Lost World Parasaurolophus. This figure's in pretty good condition for how old it is. It's got the light tan body with the darker brown stripes along the top, and this figure actually has an action button on its back used for running. Here we've got the original Jurassic Park Triceratops, and this figure has some huge battle damage on its side. You can see some flesh and some bone in it as well. This figure also has the soft rubbery body like many of the super old figures, and it has an action that when you squeeze its stomach, it swings its head upward. Here is a dinosaur figure that, although it's more recent, it's still pretty hard to find and pretty rare. This is an extreme chomping Spinosaurus from Jurassic World. This figure has the dark brown body with the light underbelly and the red spine and face. And of course, it comes with the button at the top of its head for the chomping. Right here is another one of the original Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus Rexes. This is a smaller figure. It probably only stands about 9 or 10 inches tall. It's got some battle damage on the side, and it has the soft rubbery body all throughout aside from its arms and its legs. This super bright dinosaur, I believe, is from Jurassic Park The Lost World and is actually a Chaos Effect Ankylorannodon. This figure has some super bright colors, the bright green and the bright purple, plus it's got a super bright orange eye as well. And there's actually a hidden action button on its back used to move its tail. Over here is another more recent figure from Jurassic World, but is still pretty rare and pretty hard to find. This is the hybrid Indominus Rex. It's got the bright red over its body, it's got some gold, and the classic gray color for the Indominus Rex. Plus it has a few action buttons, the first that you press down to stick out its spines, and the second to pull down the arm, and it roars. Check this one out. Here is another discontinued Jurassic World figure. This figure is fairly rare and is actually a hybrid Tyrannosaurus Rex. Check out these spines that pop out on the top of its head and on its back. Plus, another unique feature about this Tyrannosaurus Rex is this unique coloring right along the side of its body. And the action button that springs out the spines also activates the jaw. This is another Chaos Effect dinosaur from Jurassic Park. This is the Velociraptorix, and this dinosaur has some really unique features. What stands out the most to me are these wings right on the Velociraptor's arms. That's super interesting. And it's got these spikes right along the top of its back and its head as well. And this Velociraptorix has an action that when you pull the leg, it swings its arms up and down and its head moves as well. Next up, we've got another figure from Jurassic World. This is a hybrid special edition Ankylosaurus. And the most special part about this figure is that it actually has part of its shell that you can take off to reveal the normal shell underneath. This removable shell is super bright and reflective. It's got some bright green and purple in the spikes as well. And you can just plop it right back on. Next up in my rare figures, we've got the Jurassic Park Amargospinus. I think this figure looks somewhat similar to the unopened figure that we saw at the very beginning of this video. It's got the long neck, it's got the spines all over, and it's got a few action buttons actually that when you move the leg, it actually sticks up its spines on its back, on its neck, and it opens its jaws too. Next up is the Jurassic Park Lost World Chasmosaurus. This figure looks similar to a Triceratops. It's got many of the same features. It's got the horns in the front. And this figure also has an action that when you pull its leg, it moves its head up and down. This is another Jurassic World hybrid figure. This, I believe, is a hybrid between a Stegosaurus and a Triceratops. But it's also got some super bright and unique coloring with the bright blue on its side, the dark blue on its legs, and the gold right along the top and its horns too. Here is another Jurassic World hybrid figure. This is a hybrid between a Tyrannosaurus Rex and a Dilophosaurus. And once again, it's also got some super bright coloring with the bright orange on its sides. It's got some gold along the top too. This is a Jurassic Park Spinosaurus. And let me tell you, I think it looks a lot different than the Spinosauruses that Jurassic World is releasing now. But it's still got the huge spine along its back, of course, and it has some pretty bright coloring. It's got the bright green along its body with the gray as well. Next up is a fairly large figure from Jurassic Park. This is a Utah Raptor. It's got the orange body with the black detailing along the top and the lighter underbelly. And a nice detail on this figure is that you can actually move the claw up and down on its feet. Over here, we've got a few Jurassic Park Baryonyx figures. These are quite a bit different than the new Jurassic World Baryonyxes that are being released now. Their bodies are a lot more thin, they've got shorter legs, and it looks like they've got longer necks too. Next up, we've got two Velociraptors from Jurassic Park with different features. This first one is a lot smaller, and you can move the arms and the legs, but there's no action button. But on this second Velociraptor figure, there's an action button that when you move the leg, you can hear a sound effect. It's really quiet, so you probably can't hear it on the camera. But its head also used to move up and down as well. Here are some other interesting dinosaurs from Jurassic World. This is a Dilophosaurus with battle damage on the side, and it is super brightly colored. We've also got a smaller Spinosaurus with battle damage on the side that you can control by moving the tail around too. And for the last two dinosaurs of my rare collection, first we've got a Jurassic Park baby T-Rex with a broken leg feature. And we've also got this, I think it might be a Baryonyx, it might be an Allosaurus, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's from Jurassic World, and it's got the battle damage on the side, and the tail controls the head too. Welcome to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out a bunch of dinosaur figures that were released as part of the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom toy line. I've got tons of these dinosaurs, so let's dig in. First up, we've got some new ones that I just bought that we're gonna check out first. The first one is the Indoraptor. So this Indoraptor figure is probably medium sized, not as big as most of the T-Rex figures. It's got the all black body with the gold striping right along the side, just like the movies. And this figure is super posable. You can move basically every joint in its body as you could in real life. You can open the jaw, the neck, the arms, the legs, the tail. It's got two joints. It's got some quills on its back and on the top of its head too. And of course, it's got those red eyes. Next up, we've got the Dino DNA Lab Kit with the Dimorphodon. Let's open it up and check it out. All right, here we go. So here is the Dimorphodon. It's gray in color, and then it's got that maroon purplish coloring on the bottom of its wings. And it's pretty adjustable. And we've got the Dino DNA kit. Comes with the slime too. Let's go ahead and put this in. All right, here's the slime, and it goes into the canister. Oops, didn't quite fit. And then you stick this dinosaur skull into the slime. And there you go. It is now on display. Plus, you can actually open up the canister to let the goo slide out of the side. That's pretty cool. And next up, we've got another Dino DNA Lab Kit. This is the Velociraptor pack, so let's open it up and check it out. Here is the Velociraptor. It looks like it is in a sneaking pose, crawling along the ground. It's got a light green color, and it's pretty posable with all its limbs and jaw. And of course, you've got the DNA kit right here. Let's put that slime in. And finally, let's put the skull in. Looks like this kit comes with the same skull. And there we go, exact same as the other one. It's got the opening on the side to let out the goo. And you can close it back up and put it on display. Next up, we've got the Legacy Collection Extreme Chomping Spinosaurus. This has the dark green body and the iconic red along the spine and the face too. And of course, it's got that chomping action. This is the Thrash and Throw T-Rex. This dinosaur can be controlled by moving its tail all around to control its neck, its head, and its jaw. Right over here, we've got the giant Mosasaurus figure. They've actually come out with a new one since then that has different coloring, but this is the original one for Fallen Kingdom. This one has a lighter blue coloring on the side and the top compared to the newer one, and the white underbelly. And on this figure, the tail actually doesn't move. That's only with the newer Mosasaurus figures. Here we've got the basic figure of the Indoraptor. It has the same awesome coloring as the one we opened up earlier, but the limbs cannot move around as much. As you can see, you can only move them somewhat. You can't move the elbows, you can't move the knees. It's kind of stuck in this crawling, sneaking pose. This is the Action Attack Suchomimus. It's got a bright blue color on the bottom and the sides, and the yellow detailing on the top. And it's got one action button on its back for chomping. Next up is the Rorivore Allosaurus. It's got the gray body with yellow detailing on top, and you can move the arms and the legs, and there's an action button on its back for chomping the jaw. This is the Rorivore Ceratosaurus. It has a light yellow body with the black and red detailing on the top, and the iconic horn right there on its nose. Plus, it's got an action button on its back to chomp the jaw. Right here, we've got a basic figure of the Dilophosaurus. It's got the soft green body with the red frills. And you can open and close the frills and move the limbs a little bit, but they're not very adjustable. This is another basic figure from Jurassic World. This is a Velociraptor with the orange body and the brown top. And just like the Dilophosaurus, the limbs are slightly adjustable, but it's pretty basic. Way down here, we've got an Extreme Chompin' T-Rex. This is part of the Legacy Collection, I believe, and it has the orange body with the light underbelly. It's got the button on the top of its head for chomping. Here's one that I actually haven't shown that much. This is the Tyrannosaurus Rex Anatomy Kit. As you can see, you can take it all apart and check out its insides. See, it's got, I think that might be the stomach, that's the intestines. You can see the muscle of the tail, you can see the bone behind it, and even on its leg that you can take off, you can take this apart and see what's inside. So there you've got the bone, got more muscle. It's pretty cool. This is the Action Attack Carnotaurus. It's got the dark red body, lighter underbelly, and it's almost like a purple color along the top with all those bumps along its spine. And this dinosaur has a jaw snapping action. It's really fast. This dinosaur is the Action Attack Stegosaurus. It has a light blue body with a darker blue along the top, and this figure has a tail swinging action. Next up, we've got the Rorivore Sinoceratops. This dinosaur has some pretty cool patterning along its whole body. I really like that orange right on the top. And this figure has a head-shaking action for roaring. This is a pretty big winged dinosaur. This is the Rorivore Pteranodon. This figure has a dark blue body with the red and white wings, and it's got a button on its back for the wing flapping. This is the Legacy Collection Velociraptor with the jumping action. The legs are spring-loaded, so when you press down on its body, it'll actually spring up into the air. And this is a super bright Velociraptor. I love the bright orange on this figure. Next up is the Battle Damaged Triceratops. This is a smaller figure. It's green all over its body. It's got a little bit of light brown on the top. And most importantly, it's got the battle damage on the side that you can flip open and closed. Looks like we got a few more Pteranodons in here. First one is a light gray color. It's got some dark blue detailing on the wings and on the face, and it's got a button on its back to flap its wings. And this second Pteranodon is a dark green color with yellow accenting. And just like the other, it has a button on its back for flapping the wings. Here is another basic figure. This is Velociraptor Blue. This figure is about medium sized and it's fairly adjustable, but since it's a basic figure, you only can do so much with the arms and the legs. Over here, we've got the Rarest Baryonyx. This has a light brown body with a dark blue-gray coloring on top, and the coolest part is this reflective blue right along the top of its head. Plus, this figure has an action button on its back for chomping and roaring. Here is another Baryonyx figure, but this one I believe was actually part of a Lava Surge playset. This one has the bright orange coloring on the top of its nose, while the rest of its body is light brown and dark blue-gray, just like the other one. And of course, it's got the action button on its back for chomping and roaring. Here is the Rarest Metriacanthosaurus. This has a green-yellow coloring along the side and bottom, with a darker green along the top, and it's got a button on its back for chomping. Right over here is the Rarest Triceratops. This has a clay red color with the brown detailing along the top, and it's got a button on its back for the roaring. This figure is the Rarest Ankylosaurus. It has the dark brown underbelly. It's got some green detailing along its shell, and the gray and the white spikes too. And this figure has the button for swinging its tail back and forth. Let's see how many battle damage figures we have in here. I think I found 4. I think that's about it. Let's check them out. This first one is a Pachycephalosaurus, the green body and the orange top, and of course the battle damage right there on the side. Next up, we've got a yellow Velociraptor with brown detailing along the top and the battle damage right on the side that you can open and close. As well as another Velociraptor, looks like Velociraptor Blue with the battle damage on the side. And finally, a green Herrerasaurus with the battle damage on the side and a little bit of orange-brown detailing along the top. We've got tons of Velociraptors in here. Let's check these out. This first one is a blue and gold Velociraptor, and on its head is actually pretty reflective, which is awesome. Then up next, we've got the classic Velociraptor Blue figure, and of course you can open and close its jaw and move many of its limbs around. Then we've got this red Velociraptor and this green Velociraptor. Both have movable limbs, and you can open and close both of their jaws too. Here we've got a few Dilophosauruses. This first one is light green with the yellow and red frills in the front. It's got some brown coloring on its back. And this second Dilophosaurus is a dark brown color with blue detailing on the back, and its frills are white and like a dark green color. Next up, we've got the green Minmi figure. This figure has spikes all over the top of its shell for protective covering. And it looks like we've got a couple more Dimorphodons in here too. This one has the gray and maroon coloring just like the one we saw earlier at the beginning of the video. And this figure is dark green and has orange and red coloring along its wings. That's pretty cool. I definitely like this coloring better. This, I believe, is a Protoceratops. It's got the light blue coloring with the yellow detailing along the top. Here is another jumpin' Velociraptor figure. This one is a bright blue coloring, and just like the other Velociraptor figure, you can press down on its body to bend the legs, and then you let go to let it spring up into the air. Next up is the Stygimoloch Stiggy. This figure has the super hard head with the spikes right behind it, and you can move its arms and its legs and its tail too. We've also got a few Gallimimuses in here. This first one is a blue-gray color with darker coloring along the top, and it has adjustable legs, arms, and a neck. This second figure is a bit different. Its coloring is a bit more detailed all over its body, plus it's got an action button on its back to run its legs. And the final one is a light tan Gallimimus with darker brown detailing along the top And just like the others, you can move the legs, the arms, and the neck. This is the Legacy Collection Pachycephalosaurus, and this figure has the head ramming action. And last but not least is the Proceratosaurus. It's a smaller figure with a dark brown coloring, with a lighter underbelly, and it's got that red detailing right along its nose, and you can open and close its jaw and move its arms and legs. Welcome to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out all of my vintage Jurassic Park figures. Some of these figures were even made in 1993, so let's go ahead and get started. The first that we're gonna unbox is one that I actually just bought on eBay. This is a Spinosaurus, JP39. This looks a lot different from the new Jurassic World Spinosauruses, for sure. You can see it's got a green and gray body. It's still got the big old spine, but the head shape is different, and it's quite a bit smaller, but it does have some actions too. You can see you can pull down on the arm or the chomping. You can see some wear and tear throughout the body, but I got it for a pretty good price, so. This T-Rex is an original 1993 Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus Rex made by Kenner. It's got an all soft body, it's a soft rubber, it's got a green underbelly and a red side with spots. Its legs though are made of hard plastic, and then it transitions up to the soft rubber right up here. And with this figure, when you squeeze the stomach, it has a roaring function. It used to have sound effects and it doesn't work too well anymore. But it's a pretty old figure, so what can you expect? Next up, we've got the JP53 Chaos Effect Velociraptorix from Jurassic Park. This is a pretty interesting looking dinosaur. They definitely aren't making any figures that look quite like this anymore. See, it's got these spikes all over its body. It's got these wing-like things and a super long tail with those spikes at the end as well. And you can see that it actually is spring-loaded so that when you move the legs, its neck can move up and down, and its arms go up and down too. Next up, we've got a smaller figure. This is the Chasmosaurus, JP21. This figure is in decent condition. You can see it's got the tan side, brown underbelly, and the gray top. Plus, it has an action with its leg that when you pull it, it goes into a roaring position. And the sound effects still work, actually. Next up is the Jurassic Park Lost World Tyrannosaurus Rex from 1997. This is the JP28 figure. This once again has the rubber body. It has some pretty cool coloring with yellow, black, and green blue color, and a light underbelly. And you can see that it actually has the throat tunnel all the way down to its stomach, just like the super colossal figures I have now, but a bit smaller. This figure back here, I believe, is another Lost World Tyrannosaurus from 1997. You can see it's colored way differently. I believe this one was custom colored at some point, but it's got the hard front arms that you can swivel, plastic legs, and then the rest of the body is rubber. And this also has the throat tunnel down to its stomach too. Now, obviously, this isn't a dinosaur, but this is still from Jurassic Park. This is the Lost World Humvee capture vehicle. See that it's got these things that come down on the side, as well as these that go up top. I believe these are for humans to sit inside so that they can see way higher when they're riding way high up on the car. Next up is the 1997 Jurassic Park Lost World Thrasher Tyrannosaurus Rex. This T-Rex has hard plastic legs. The entire leg is made of hard plastic on both sides, as are the arms, but the rest of the body is that soft rubber again. And with this figure, when you move the tail around, it actually swings its head back and forth. Way over here on the edge, we've got a super colossal T-Rex. Now, I actually don't know how old this figure is, but it looks quite a bit different than all the other super colossal T-Rexes that I have. Might have been custom painted, but let's check it out. You can see the battle damage on the side. Plus, it comes with some sound effects when you open the mouth. That's pretty awesome. And just like all the rest of my super colossal figures, it is pretty adjustable. You can move the tail, the legs, the arm, and you can open up its mouth really big. Up next, we've got a Jurassic Park puppet. This thing is pretty old, and I believe it is a Velociraptor. It's made entirely out of rubber, so the whole thing is pretty soft. This is the Jurassic Park Lost World Stegosaurus. JP24. You can see that I don't have the battle damage cover anymore. I'm not sure where that went. But this figure has a harder plastic body, and the tail is a softer rubber that swings back and forth. Here is the classic Triceratops from Jurassic Park. This is JP08. See, it's got the battle damage on the side, and just like many of the other figures, it's got a soft rubbery body and a function when you squeeze the stomach, the head goes up and down. Next up is the JP06 Battle Damage Tyrannosaurus figure. This figure, once again, has a soft rubbery body throughout most, except for the feet are hard plastic and the arms. Most of its body is a light tan color with that darker striping on top, and it's got a lighter underbelly. And let's check out that battle damage on the side too. You can see the bones and a little bit of underneath the bones too. Next up is the Jurassic Park 3 sound-activated stalking raptor. Now the motor doesn't work in this figure, but originally you turn it on and it would be able to walk forwards slowly and stealthily. This figure is hard plastic all over. It's got the light underbelly, the dark brown sides, and the purple color right along the top. This is the Lost World Pteranodon, JP22. This figure is really old, and it's a little worn down, as you can see. It's got the blue and gold body. Its wings are actually a fabric, and there's a button on the top of its body used for flapping its wings. Here's another flying dinosaur. This is JP48. This, I believe, is an Ankyloraniodon. It's got some bright green on the underside and purple on the top. Check out those claws. And there's actually a button on its back that you press, and it curls its tail inward. And all in all, this is probably over a foot long from wingtip to wingtip. Next up, we've got JP63. This is the Jurassic Park Baryonyx. I've actually got another one, another very similar Baryonyx right here. And both of them have an action with the leg. When you move the leg, it moves its head back and forth. Next up is the JP23 Pachycephalosaurus with a ramming head. Now it's slightly broken because when I press the button, the head will fly off, but that's a pretty cool spring-loaded head ramming action. Here we've got the JP19 Lost World Parasaurolophus. This dinosaur has some pretty cool coloring with the striping down its back and the red right around its head and neck. And this dinosaur also has an action button. You press on its back and it runs. This is the JP18 Jurassic Park Velociraptor. This dinosaur has some pretty unique patterns over its body. It's got the striping, but it's also got these dots and on its arms and neck as well. And it's really quiet because it's an old figure, but it actually does have sound effects. This figure is the Jurassic Park 1994 Utah Raptor. Most of its body is that soft rubber, aside from its legs, which are hard plastic, and its arms. And on this dinosaur, the legs are spring-loaded, so that when you press beneath its tail, it'll dip down for a chomp. This is JP58. This is an Amargospinus. This has some pretty cool coloring with the black, tan, and red all over its body, and it has an action with its leg that when you pull it, these spines stand up on its back, on its neck, and it opens its jaw too. This figure is the JP44 Lost World Triceratops. This is a smaller figure. It's got that dark green coloring, and this figure also has an action. When you move the leg, it lifts his head up for a roar. Next up, we've got the JP02 Dilophosaurus. This is a pretty small figure and you can only move the legs on this one, but this is a classic Jurassic Park figurine. Next up is JP47. This is an Allosaurus, and it actually has battle damage that you can take on and off. Look at those huge pieces that you can take off to see what's underneath. You can take it off the leg as well, see the bone underneath, and you can even remove parts of its tail too. That is super cool. Here we've got JP42. I believe this is a baby T-Rex. It's actually got a broken leg on its right side. It's got that dark coloring on the top and the light brown and tan on the bottom too. I've got some identical JP06 Velociraptor figures. They've got the brown sides, the dark top, and the light underbelly. This is JP12. I believe it is called a Lycinops, and it looks kind of like a saber-toothed tiger. Next up, the JP10 Velociraptor. This has a bright red top and a yellow side and a white underbelly, and when you move its legs, it actually opens up its arms. Plus, I've even got some classic figurines. I've got 2 of the Lost World Ian Malcolm glider action figures. I've got the 1997 Ian Malcolm figure.
Come on!
And I've got the Alan Grant figurine as well. I think I've got a few more human figurines in here. This first one is the Robert Muldoon figurine.
Oh boy!
This second one, I believe, is Harpoon Harrison.
Awesome!
And I believe this one is the Jurassic Park Lost World Nick Van Owen.
Gotcha!
Last but not least, we've got a few teeny tiny figures in here. Can you guess what type of dinosaurs these are? Let me know in the comments below.
Oh boy! Ha-ha! Awesome!
Welcome back to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out a bunch of old Jurassic Park versus Jurassic World figurines. A lot of these figures you can't find anywhere except on like eBay, and they might be actually pretty expensive in some cases. Plus, I've even got some brand new Jurassic World figures that we're gonna open up as well today. So let's get started. First up of the brand new dinosaurs is the Zungaripterus. This is a flying dinosaur, so let's open it up and check it out. So this flying dinosaur is pretty brightly colored. It's got yellow wings and a yellow body, and then it's got the brown on the very top and on the neck and on the head. You can see there's a bit more bright coloring right on its horn and right along its eyes and nose as well. See if you can open up the mouth. Yep. You can adjust the wings and you can move the neck around as well. And the DNA barcode is right there. Next up is the Moros Intrepidus. Let's check it out. This dinosaur is from the Jurassic World Ferocious pack, and it's pretty adjustable. You can see it's got a soft green color throughout most of its body. It's got some white, and then the orange tail at the back. Let's see if we can open up the mouth. Oh, it's really difficult, but you can. And its joints are pretty articulated as well. You can move the arms, the neck, you can move the legs, and the tail too. Here we've got the Rowdy Roars Atrociraptor. Let's check it out. All right, here is the Atrociraptor. Just put batteries in it, so let's see what it can do. You can see that there's a button up top here and a power switch. Let's turn on the power and let's press the button and see what happens. Oh, that's interesting. So the body does move. It does like this little wiggling thing. If I put it down on the table, I bet it would walk. That's pretty interesting. I do love the coloring on this as well. It is a bright orange color over most of its body. It's got the brown on top and a little bit of yellow detailing on the legs. It's pretty cool. And last of the brand new dinosaurs is Velociraptor Charlie from the Camp Cretaceous set. All right, another Velociraptor to add to my huge Velociraptor collection. And it's got an action button right here on the top for some slashing. Let's check that out. Looks like it doesn't work too well. Yeah, the slashing action seems like it kind of gets stuck a bit. But still, this is a pretty cool Velociraptor. It's pretty articulate with all its joints. I think this will look great with all my other Velociraptors. All right, let's dig into this giant bin of old Jurassic Park and Jurassic World figures. This is the 1993 Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's got a soft body all over. Its legs are made of hard plastic, as well as its arms are hard plastic that swivel. And this T-Rex has a chomping action. When you squeeze the soft stomach, its mouth opens and closes. It's a little old, so it's not working quite as well as it used to. But this is pretty cool. This is a huge T-Rex. Here we've got another vintage Jurassic Park Tyrannosaurus Rex. This T-Rex also has a soft body, except for its legs is a hard plastic, as well as its arms again that you can swivel back and forth. And with this T-Rex, instead of squeezing the stomach, you can move the tail and it moves its head around. That's pretty cool. This is a super old dinosaur figure. This is the Stomp and Strike T-Rex. This is one of the older Jurassic World figures. And how it works is, set it up like that, so it's in the roar position, and then you activate the tail and it comes swinging down for a chomp. That is pretty cool. Here we've got a super special and pretty hard to find Jurassic World hybrid Indominus Rex. Let's check out the features of this dinosaur. First, with the arm, you pull that, then it has a chomping action. Second, there's a hidden button right here that when you press, it shoots out its spikes. I'm super glad I have this Indominus Rex, and I love the gold on the underbelly too. That is something you don't see very often. Here is another vintage Jurassic Park dinosaur. This is the Utah Raptor. You can see it's got the JP22 right there on its legs. It's got some huge claws on its feet that are adjustable, and you can move the legs and the arms. And with this Utah Raptor, you can actually pull the legs back to lock into place, and then there's a hidden button underneath its tail that you press to swing them forward. So it's like a chomping action when it's standing up. Here is a vintage Jurassic Park Allosaurus. This dinosaur has a hard plastic body all around, and you can see that some body parts actually come off to reveal battle damage underneath. Look how detailed that is too. You can see like intestines in there, you can see some bone on the part that you take out. And there's even other parts that you can take out too. You can take out part of its leg, see its bone and its muscle right there. And you can even take out part of its tail too. Let's check out that bone underneath. And it just clicks right back into place. Here is another hybrid dinosaur. This is from the old Jurassic World toy line. This is a hybrid Tyrannosaurus Rex. You can see those spines right on the top there. You can actually hide them, and the ones right next to its head. And then when you press this button right here, they'll all slide out. That's pretty cool. Plus, that button doubles as a chomping button. This has some pretty unique coloring on it too. This one back here is a Jurassic Park vintage toy. I believe this is a baby T-Rex, if I remember correctly. You can see it has some battle damage right there on the side. And like many of the other vintage figures that I have, its body is soft, aside from its hands and its feet. And it's got a mostly brown body with a darker brown spots and stripes as well. Back here, we've got a special edition Ankylosaurus. This one's pretty special because it actually has this additional shell that you can remove to reveal the normal shell. And look, it's even got some battle damage right there on the side. So this is pretty cool, and you just click it right back on. And this Ankylosaurus has an action as well. When you move this leg back and forth, you can see that it sticks its head out, and it swings its tail too. Here's another Jurassic World T-Rex. You won't see the JW tattoo on its leg because this one was colored differently. So this one is a red color with black spots and stripes all over, and it's got the chomping action button on its back too. This is pretty cool. Right over here, we've got another vintage Jurassic World figure made by Kenner. This is the Chasmosaurus. It's got that huge shield in the front. It's got the 3 horns on its head. Plus, with this figure, when you move the leg, it moves its head up and down for a roaring action. This is a Ceratosaurus with battle damage. It's got the red on the top with the black stripes, and the rest of its body is a light tan color. And it's pretty articulate with the arms and the legs. Plus, with the tail, when you move that up and down, it opens and closes its mouth. Here we've got an even smaller T-Rex. This is also from the old Jurassic World toy line. It's got the battle damage on the side. Arms and legs can move, and with the tail, you can control the head. You can go up and down, back and forth, and you can open and close the mouth all in one. Right over here is a big winged dinosaur. I believe this is a Pteranodon. You can fold in the wings, make it easier for storage, and it's got 2 buttons on its back. One flaps the wings, and one opens and closes the mouth. Here we've got a bunch of classic Jurassic World velociraptors. I have a ton of these. You can see that these 2 are tan with the green striping on top. This one is a dark green with the black striping on top. And with each of them, you can move the arms and the legs. Can't open the mouth or close them or anything like that. But these are actually some of my biggest velociraptors, which is pretty cool. This is the Ankyloraniodon, and it's a pretty weird looking dinosaur. It's got a light color over most of its body and the bright red striping right on the top all the way to the tail. See, it's got some spikes or feathers or something like that on the top of its head, on its back, and on its arms, like wings as well as right on the tip of its tail. And with this figure, you can move its leg up and down for a roaring or chomping action. Here we've got a basic Jurassic World Spinosaurus. You can't open and close the mouth or adjust the neck on this one, and it is smaller than a lot of the other Spinosaurus figures that I have. But it's still got the same iconic coloring as my other Spinosauruses, with the red on the top, the white in the middle, and the green on the bottom, as well as the red right around its eyes. Next up, from Jurassic World, we've got a Dilophosaurus that is super brightly colored, with orange and green and yellow. This is a super colorful dinosaur. Plus, with this figure, it comes with an action. When you move the tail up and down, it swings its head up and down. Over here, from Jurassic World again, is a Ceratosaurus with pretty unique coloring. It's got brown over its whole body, and then a light orange detailing on its back all the way to its horn. And the action button on its back activates its roar and its jaw. Next up, from the Jurassic World toy line, JP63, we've got a classic Baryonyx. This dinosaur is super thin looking, and with its right foot, you can move it back and forth to twist its neck back and forth too. Here is another hybrid dinosaur from Jurassic World. This looks to be like a Triceratops and Stegosaurus hybrid. Plus, it's got the battle damage right there on the side. This dinosaur is super bright with a light blue on most of its body and dark blue detailing on its feet and in the front too. And this dinosaur has an action. When you move the tail, it swings its head forward for a stabbing action. This one is a similar hybrid as the one we just saw, but with different coloring. You can see it's a dark green with some tan detailing on its body, with the same battle damage. I believe this is also a Stegosaurus and Triceratops hybrid, with the same stabbing action too. This classic Jurassic Park figure, I believe, is called an Amargospinus. It's got some bright red accenting on the top of its body. It's got some horns right there on its neck, and the rest of its body is black and tan. Let's check out the actions on this dinosaur. You can see when you move this leg, it activates those spines to go up. It also moves those spines on its neck, and it opens and closes its mouth for a roar too. So so it's doing 3 things at once. I see a few more Jurassic World Velociraptors. Let's see, we've got the dark green with black striping. We've got a brown with gray striping. We've got a special one over here that is a bright green with red striping, and this one actually has a few actions on it. It's got a battle damage button right on its side, and the tail activates the mouth too. I think there's one more back here. Yep, here is another Velociraptor, also with the battle damage on its side and the tail chomping action. This figure is another vintage Jurassic Park figure made by Kenner. This is a Pachycephalosaurus. You can see it's still got the restraint around its waist, but when you take that off, you can see that there's actually some battle damage revealed underneath, which is pretty cool. And as you're probably guessing, since it's a Pachycephalosaurus, the action button that you press right here is for the headbutting. But this figure is so old that it'll actually fly off. As you can see, it's kind of broken. But that's still a pretty cool action for a Pachycephalosaurus. Over here, we've got some small Jurassic World Indominus Rex figures. This one's the smallest, so let's check this one out first. You can see that there's some battle damage on the side, and just like those smaller T-Rexes we saw earlier, you can use the tail to control the face to open and close the mouth, to move the neck around, and all that. This slightly larger Indominus Rex has battle damage as well, but you can open and close this one actually. And then you can just pop it right open. Plus, you can use the tail for the chomping action too. Here's a big dinosaur. This is from the Jurassic World Legacy Collection. This is the Extreme Chompin' Spinosaurus. It's got the green body with the red and white stripe. And of course, you can move the neck around and activate the chomping with the button on the top of its head. Here's an even smaller Spinosaurus, but this one looks a lot different. This is an older Spinosaurus figure from Jurassic World. See that it's blue along most of its body. It's got some gold coloring on its belly, and then the bright red spine. And like the small Indominus Rex and small T-Rexes that we saw earlier, you can use the tail to move the neck and open and close the jaw. We've got another big T-Rex. This is from Jurassic World. It's tan in color all over its body, and it's got the button on the top of its back that activates the jaw. Here is another vintage Jurassic Park Baryonyx. This is another super slim dinosaur again. You can see it's got the orange striping on the top. And like the other Baryonyx from Jurassic Park, when you move this leg, it twists its head around. Here we've got a super weird looking dinosaur from Jurassic Parks. This is a Lycanops. Kind of looks like a saber-toothed tiger in a way. It's got those huge fangs in its mouth, and the mouth is spring-loaded so you can open and close it. This is from Jurassic World, and I believe this is the Proceratosaurus. You can see most of its body is a light tan color with some gray detailing on its back all the way up to its face, and it's got the bright red right on top of its face too. Here is another Pachycephalosaurus, but this one is from the old Jurassic World line. And you can see with the tail that you can move its head up and down and back and forth. This is another Jurassic Park vintage toy, and it is, I believe, a Dilophosaurus. This figure is pretty small and pretty slim, but you can see those iconic frills right at the top of its head. Here are a few more Jurassic World figures. This, I believe, is another Pteranodon with wings that you can fold up or extend. It's got the action button on its back for flapping its wings. And with this figure, you have to manually open and close its mouth. There is no button for it. This figure is a Jurassic World Mosasaurus. You can see it's got the battle damage on the side that you can open and close. Plus, with this figure, you can use the front fins to activate the jaw. We've got some more Jurassic Park vintage figures in here. This first, I believe, is a Velociraptor with red on the top and orange on the sides. This other figure I have in my hand is a baby T-Rex. You can see with this baby T-Rex that you can actually move the leg around. You can see that it's broken in a way. It did originally come with a bandage that you used to cover that. But all in all, this is a pretty cool figure. Here is another hybrid Triceratops Stegosaurus from Jurassic World. It's got the battle damage on the side, and just like we saw with the other figures, you can use the tail for a stabbing action. Here are two other similar Jurassic World figures. Both of them have the tail chomping action. You can see this one is a T-Rex with battle damage, and this one is a Spinosaurus with battle damage. Let's check out those chomping actions. And last of all is the classic Velociraptor from Jurassic Park. Let's check it out. It's got the chomping action in the front, and you can adjust the arms and the legs too. Welcome back to the Amazing Dinosaurs channel. Today we are checking out my huge collection of Camp Cretaceous figures, and I've even got some brand new ones to unbox as well. Let's get started with the biggest one, the extreme damage Tyrannosaurus Rex. Let's open this up. All right, let's click that tail in. And there it is. A brand new T-Rex for my collection. Let's check out this battle damage. That is super cool. I already have a few T-Rexes like this, so this will look super cool next to them. That is awesome. Next up, we've got the Sammy and Velociraptor set. Let's get these open. All right, let's check these out. We've got these teeny tiny little dinosaurs that can hang on our arm. Those are really cool. Hooray! There's Sammy, and then we've got the Velociraptor too. Mouth opens and closes, and there we go. That is a really cool set. Next up, we've got the Darius and Brachiosaurus set. Let's get this open. All right, here we go. There's Darius with a pair of binoculars and the Velociraptor vocal resonator. That's how he can call out and sound like a velociraptor. And then we've got this baby Brachiosaurus too. How cute. This is awesome. So cool.
Yahoo!
And over here, we've got the great Masiakasaurus, or I think that's how you pronounce it at least. But let's open this up and check it out. All right, this is so cool. Look at all that spotted yellow coloring. And it's got that red-brown color over its entire body too. And it's got a button here. Let's see what happens. Awesome, it's got a chomping action. How cool is that? All right, let's dig in. Let's check out these Camp Cretaceous figures. First off is a giant T-Rex figure with a stomping action when you twist its tail. And a roar as well. How cool is that? Right here in the center, we've got a bright red Metriacanthosaurus. And this one has a chomping action as well. That is so cool, and I love how bright this dinosaur is. Here's one of the biggest dinosaurs in this bin. This is the great Indominus Rex. And it's got a claw slashing action too. And look, you could probably fit some dinosaurs down its throat too. So it could actually eat some dinosaur toys. So cool. Over here on the other side, we've got the mighty Spinosaurus with a bright red spine and its nose, and then a brown all over the rest of its body with some striping too. And of course, this dinosaur has a chomping action as well. That is so cool. Look at how big its mouth is. So many teeth. Right up here, we've got another bright dinosaur. This is like a bright tan color. This is a Carcharodontosaurus with chomping action. How cool. Here's another T-Rex. This one is huge and it has 2 actions. It's got a tearing action with its jaw. That's so awesome. And then it's got a tail whipping action too. This figure is huge and so cool. Right up at the top here, we've got this blue Suchomimus. Check out the spine all along its head, all the way to its tail. That is really cool. And this dinosaur has an action as well. That is an awesome roar action. Right here in the back, we've got an herbivore. This is the Tyrannosaurus. And look at that on its side. There's a lever. When you press that, what happens? That is super cool. It's got a roaring action. Uh-oh, you better look out. Here comes the Carnotaurus. I really like this action figure. It's one of my favorite dinos. Here is an Ankylosaurus with a tail swiping action. That is super cool. That would be a great self-defense mechanism. Plus, it's got this super hard shell on the top right here. Look at all those spikes too. Over here on the side, we've got a dark green Ceratosaurus. Look at that huge horn on its head and all those teeth. Let's see what this action button does. Wow, that is awesome. This dinosaur would blend into the jungle really well. Oh boy, here's one of the scariest predators. This is a Scorpius Rex. These figures are so cool and pretty big, I'd say. Maybe like a foot from head to tail, maybe a little bit more. And it's got 2 actions. It's got the claw slashing and the bite. Here is another scary looking predator. This is our Sarcophagus. Look at that bright orange, purple, and red on the top. And then all those humongous teeth. All right, here we go. One of the most popular dinosaurs, the Velociraptor. And this one has gold coloring on its head, which I think is super cool. Here's a dinosaur that I don't have that many of. This is a Concavinator. And it's got 2 actions, chomping and a tail swipe action. That is super cool, and I love the bright coloring on this dinosaur. We've got some smaller herbivores in here. Let's check these out. This, I believe, is called Minmi. And look at all those spikes all over its body. Right here is a baby Triceratops, and it's got battle damage on the side too that you can open and close. And this one is called a Stygimoloch. Look, it's got that hard head and some spikes right on the top too. I bet those would hurt. All right, another predator. This is a Baryonyx with brown coloring on the top and green on the sides and bottom. I think we've got a few more Velociraptors in here. Let's see how many we've got. All right, I think that's all of them in the bin. Here are 4 Velociraptors, each with different coloring. This is a dark green one, and this Velociraptor is in a crouching position. And we've got this tan brown Velociraptor with slashing action. And of course, you've got Velociraptor blue with battle damage. And then this final Velociraptor that's like a light green color. Up next, wow, look at this giant flying dino. This is a Pteranodon, and it's got an action button up top. That is so cool. You can make it flap its wings. right here in the back, wow, this is a super spiky dinosaur. This is a Kentrosaurus, and it's got an action button to swing those spikes on its shoulders from side to side. Right over here, we've got another Pachycephalosaurus. Here's a really brightly colored dinosaur. This is a Zuniceratops. Check out that lime green color and the dark gray all along the top and the head. All right, we've got another Ankylosaurus. This one is a red and brown color. And again, look at all those spikes and the shell on the top for defense. And this dinosaur has a swinging action too. Super awesome. All right, we've got a few more dinosaurs in here. This is a Dilophosaurus without the frills, and I think this also is a Dilophosaurus, but with different coloring. This one has battle damage, and this is an Alioramus, and look at that coloring too. Got the red stripes and the brown body. That is super cool, and you can open and close its mouth too. And we've got some flying dinosaurs in here too. This one is a Rhamphorhynchus, and look at those huge teeth sticking out of its mouth. And these two matching dinosaurs are Dimorphodons. And here are our final two dinosaurs of the Camp Cretaceous bin. This is a Dracorex with the bright green coloring and all those spikes all over its head. And this dinosaur is a Mosaurus with the blue body coloring and the gray stripes on top. Today, we're checking out all of my Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom predators. I've got raptors, I've got Indoraptors, I got T-Rexes, and I've even got one that I just bought on eBay. Let's check this one out first. This is the Grab and Growl Endoraptor. This is actually the first of this toy that I have in my collection. Let's check out the features. First of all, it is very movable and posable. You can see that you can move its shoulders, its elbows, its legs, all over. But the coolest part of this figure is the functions on the tail. You can see that it has a button on its tail right there that it actually is used for slashing. And it comes with sound effects too. Plus, it also has a second button on the bottom of its tail used for the jaw. And finally, this Indoraptor has the tail that controls the front torso, like many T-Rex figures. So you can actually move it around and make it look super lifelike, as well as slash and chomp too. Hiding way in the back here, we've got a super colossal T-Rex. This is the orange and tan one. It's got the light underbelly. Let's check out those yellow eyes. It has a huge jaw that you can open up really wide. And of course, it has the stomach compartment, so you can feed it miniature dinosaurs too. Next up, we've got another big T-Rex. This is the Thrash and Throw T-Rex. It has a button on its foot for stomping sound effects. And the coolest part of this dinosaur is you use the tail to control the torso. You can get chomping, just like that, and you can also get a roaring pose too. Right over here, we've got a dark blue Suchomimus with yellow detailing right along the top. And it's got that huge spine all the way from the tail up to the top of the head. That is really cool. This dinosaur has a lot of teeth in its mouth, and a very narrow jaw, and it has one action button on its back to control the chomping. Right over here, we've got a classic T-Rex figure. This one is also a light orange and brown. And while the tail does not control the torso or the head, there is a button on the top of its head to control the jaw. Next up, we've got another Endoraptor figure. This is the classic Endoraptor figure. You can see it's still very flexible and adjustable with its limbs and its arms. This figure does not have the buttons on its tail to control the arms and the jaw, but it is still a super posable figure and pretty well detailed. This giant figure is a Mosasaurus. I'm sure you recognize this even from the first Jurassic World movie. This figure is probably 2 feet long from head to tail, and it's got some pretty good texture on its body as well. You can see it's got the large bumps on the top of its back, and it's got the smaller bumps right along the side. This is the extreme battle damage Tyrannosaurus Rex. This T-Rex has battle damage all over its body. It's got some on its chin, on its neck, on its leg, even on its chest and tail too. It of course has that iconic orange and brown coloring all over its body. And just like the T-Rex that we saw earlier, it has a button on the top of its head to activate the jaw. This is the bright yellow and red Ceratosaurus. Check out that huge iconic horn on the top of its head. It's also got movable limbs and a tail, and there's an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Here I've got the yellow and gray Allosaurus. It has some pretty cool detailing right along the top, all the way from its tail to the top of its head. It also has some red right above its eyes, which is pretty cool, and it's got an action button on its back to activate the jaw. Next up, we've got a huge Carnotaurus figure. This figure has tiny arms in the front. It has adjustable legs and a tail. It has the classic clay red body on the side and a dark purple gray color right along the top. And of course, there's an action button on its back for snapping the jaw. This is a supersized Pteranodon figure. This dinosaur figure is probably 1 foot from wingtip to wingtip. It's got the dark blue body with the maroon and tan wings. There is a button on its back for flapping the wings. And you can open and close the jaw too. Here is the bright red Metriacanthosaurus. Most of its body is that bright red color. It's got some dark gray detailing right along the top of its back and some yellow detailing on the top of its head and its nose too. The limbs are pretty adjustable on this figure, and of course, the button on the back to activate the jaw. This is the Baryonyx figure. It's got the light brown body with the dark gray blue detailing all along its back to its tail and to its neck, and it's got the reflective bright blue coloring on the top of its head too. I've actually got another Metriacanthosaurus in here. This one is like a mustard or like a dark green yellow color. Most of this dino figure's body is a dark green yellowish color. It's got the dark green detailing along the top of its body all the way to the top of the head, and it's got the action button on its back for the jaw. I've got another Baryonyx figure, but with slightly different coloring. It's still got the light brown body with the dark gray blue detailing on the top, but this figure has the bright orange coloring right on the top of its head and its nose too. I've got quite a few Velociraptor figures in here as well. Let's see what we got. First, we've got the classic Velociraptor blue figure with the iconic blue stripe all the way down the side of the body. I also have the green Velociraptor that is in the crawling or sneaking pose. You can also open and close this jaw too. I've got this super bright Velociraptor with the bright yellow and the brown on the top, and this Velociraptor is actually one of the leaping Velociraptors. So the legs are spring-loaded and you can send it flying into the air. And this Velociraptor has a bit more subtle coloring. It's got a gray body with the dark gray-blue detailing along the top and some cool orange eyes too. I've also got a few winged Dimorphodon figures. This first one is gray in color with some dark maroon or purplish color along the bottom of its wings. I've also got this green Dimorphodon with the bright orange and yellow along the bottom of its wings. And on both of these figures, you can open and close the jaws. Next up, I've got a few Dilophosaurus figures, all with different coloring. This first one is a soft green color with the yellow and red frills. This one is a gray-brown color with some blue detailing along the back, and its frills are white and a green-blue color too. And this Dilophosaurus, the brightest of the three, is a purple and red Dilophosaurus, and it's got some yellow, orange, and red along the frills in the front too. This is a Rarest. It is a light gray color with some brighter detailing. You can actually adjust the neck on this figure as well as the jaw, and of course all the other limbs as well. Here is another Rarest figure, but this one has a soft green coloring with the brown detailing on top. All the same body parts can move, and this one actually has some battle damage on the side that you can open and close. I've still got tons of Velociraptor figures in here. This first one is another Velociraptor blue, but this one has the battle damage on the side. Here is another spring-loaded Velociraptor. The legs are spring-loaded so that they can leap up into the air, and it's got a bright blue-green color all over its body. And I've also got the leaping Velociraptor blue as well. It's got the iconic coloring along the side of its body, and of course, the spring-loaded legs for leaping into the air. Got just a few more figures in here. This one is the Protoceratops. It's got the dark brown body with darker detailing along the top and a red ridge right along its nose. And like many of these miniature figures, the limbs are fairly adjustable as well. And I've got two more Velociraptor figures in here. This first one is a dark red with purple detailing along the side, kind of the same design as Velociraptor blue. And I've got another leaping Velociraptor. This one is a dark tan color with the brown detailing along the top, and of course, the spring-loaded legs. And last but not least, I've got another giant Pteranodon figure with foldable wings and the same blue body with the red and tan wings. Today, I'm going to show you this huge collection of Jurassic World figures that I took down from my display shelves. I bet there's around 100 figures in here. Plus, I've even got some brand new ones from the Amber collection, the Hammond collection, and from the new Jurassic World Dominion series that we're going to open up. So let's get started. First up is the Strike and Roar Giganotosaurus. This figure is dark green in color, like many of the Giganotosaurus figures that I have. It's got the huge spines in the back all the way up to its head, and it's pretty adjustable. You can move the legs around, you can adjust the arms, and the biggest feature of this figure is the button on its back that you use to swing its head around. Look at that chomping action. Plus, there is a button at the bottom of its tail as well for chomping the mouth. Next up, we've got the Amber Collection Velociraptor from the Lost World Jurassic Park. Alright, here's the figure. This is a bright orange Velociraptor with a tan underbelly. It's got those dark brown stripes along the top, all the way to the top of the head. Looks like its eyes are like a dark gold color. And like all of the Amber Collection figures, this figure is very adjustable with all of its limbs and is very poseable. Plus, this figure comes with a stand that you can use to display your brand new Velociraptor. Next up is the Hammond Collection Parasaurolophus. So this figure is predominantly a light tan color. It's got some dark purple brown coloring along the legs and along the back, and most importantly, that bright orange stripe all the way from its head down to its tail. And overall, I'd say the detailing and paint on this is pretty decent. It's not the most detail that I've seen, but I definitely appreciate that you can move all the limbs around. You can bend at the knees, you can move the arms, you can adjust the neck and the head as well. So it is a very adjustable figure. And finally, we've got the Jurassic World Dominion, Dr. Alan Grant and Dimetrodon set. So here is Dr. Alan Grant holding a Dimetrodon skull. That thing is humongous. And here is the Dimetrodon figure. Its body is a gray-green color, and it's got the iconic super huge spine along its back that's orange. Right along its spine, you can find the DNA barcode scanner, and you can adjust the legs, the tail, the neck, and the jaw as well. Let's dive into our first bin of Jurassic World figures. This T-Rex has a tearing action. When you press this button on its back, it swings its head around and clamps its jaw shut. Plus, it's got another button on its back to swing the tail around too. Next up, we've got a bright orange T-Rex with battle damage all over its body. It's got some on its chin, on its neck, on its thigh, on its stomach, and it's got a button at the top of its head for the chomping action. Here is another bright orange T-Rex, but this one does not have any battle damage at all, and it also has the button on the top of its head for chomping. Here we've got a smaller T-Rex figure. I believe this is the Sound Surge T-Rex. It's got this button on its back that you can use to activate the sound effects. This, I believe, is the Jurassic World Dominion Thrash and Devour T-Rex. It's got the black top, brown sides, and the lighter underbelly, and you can use the tail to control the face. Got two more T-Rexes left in this haul. This is a dark green T-Rex. It's got the button on the top of its head for chomping, and the rest of its body is adjustable too. And way back here, we've got the T-Rex with the extreme battle damage. Check that out, you can turn it on and off. Next up are the Indominus Rexes. This first Indominus Rex figure is larger than a lot of the T-Rex figures I have, and it has two actions. The first is on the front of its back, that's used for claw slashing, and the second is on its tail, used for the jaws. This second Indominus Rex is the Extreme Battle Damage Edition. You can see its battle damage on this side and on the other side, and you can turn it on and off using the button on the top of its back. Next up are the Scorpius Rexes. This is a basic figure of the Scorpius Rex, so you can move its arms and legs somewhat, and its tail is slightly adjustable. And this figure, interestingly, is very narrow. And here is the better version of the Scorpius Rex figure. This figure is very adjustable, and it has two actions. The first is for roaring and chomping, and the second action button is for slashing the claws. Here we've got a ton of Ceratosaurus figures. This first one has a gray, red, and brown body with the white horn. This next one has a tan body with red and black and a yellow horn. I've also got a dark green Ceratosaurus with a slide lever action. A brown and orange Ceratosaurus with an action button on its back for chomping and roaring. And another gray, red, and black Ceratosaurus with a slide action lever on its back. Next up, I've got a few Carcharodontosaurus figures. This first one is a bright red Carcharodontosaurus with the yellow on the top of its head and some darker detailing on its back. And the second Carcharodontosaurus is yellow and green in color, and it has the same chomping action button as the first one. Here is a pretty scary looking predator. This is a Tarbosaurus. It is gray, black, and red right underneath its chin, and it's got these huge spikes right along its spine. Next, I've got two Albertosauruses. The first one has battle damage on its side that you can open up and close, and a little bit of battle damage right on its leg. And the second Albertosaurus is a bit brighter in color. It has a bright orange along the side, and it has an action button on its tail for chomping. Next up, this first Carcharodontosaurus is dark blue and it's got some orange and brown detailing, and it has an action button for chomping. This second Carcharodontosaurus is tan in color and it has some orange and brown detailing, and it actually has a face cage that you can use the action button to break free from. This dinosaur figure, if I remember correctly, is the Yangtruanosaurus. This figure has an action that when you move the tail, it swings its torso around, plus a button to activate the jaw. Here, I've got a few Suchomimus figures. This first one is bright yellow with brown detailing along the top, and 2 action buttons, one to activate the face and jaw, and a second to activate the tail. This second Suchomimus is dark blue in color with yellow detailing along the top and the spine, and has 1 action button to activate the jaw. Next, we've got some Endoraptor figures. This first one is a basic figure, so you can only move the arms, legs, and tail a little bit, and you can't activate the jaw at all. But it still has some pretty awesome coloring and details with the spikes. And this second Endoraptor figure is extremely adjustable. You can move the arms, the legs, the elbows, the knees. The tail has 2 joints that you can turn, and you can open and close the jaw too. I've also got quite a few Allosaurus figures in here too. This first one is gray and yellow in coloring, and it has an action button on its back to activate the jaw. This next Allosaurus is tan and blue with actually 2 tones of blue on its body, and it has 2 action buttons, one to activate the jaw and one to activate the arms. Here are 2 more Allosaurus figures. This first one is dark green, white, and red in color, and has a slide action button to activate the jaw and roaring sound effects. And this Allosaurus is brown and blue in color and has the slide action lever to activate the jaw and sound effects. And the last dinosaur of this first bin is the Irritator. It has a brown body with blue and light blue coloring, and you can use the tail to control the face. On to the second bin. This first dinosaur is the extreme chomping Spinosaurus with the dark green body and the red spine. This next figure, I believe, is the Camp Cretaceous Spinosaurus with the same body but with a light tan color and darker brown along the top right next to the red spine. I've also got quite a few Carnotaurus figures in here as well. This one is a dark brown Carnotaurus and has an action button on its tail for chomping. This next Carnotaurus figure is a bit smaller, but it's from the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. It's dark green in color with the orange detailing right along the top. This next Carnotaurus is bright orange in color with a darker top, and also has the action button on its tail for chomping. And this final Carnotaurus is a bit smaller and darker red in color, and has an action button on the top of its back for chomping. This next figure is a Seats Microrum. It's got the bright orange and the dark blue coloring, and all these spikes right along the top of its head and its back too. And over here, I've got quite a few Baryonyx figures. This first one is dark gray and blue with bright blue right along the top. This next figure is dark brown and dark gray with the bright orange right along its nose. And these other Baryonyx figures have all sorts of colors as well. This one is bright green with brown detailing. This next one has actually a little bit of battle damage on its side, right on its neck and on its leg. And this final Baryonyx is gray and a dark blue-gray in color with the reflective blue right along the top of its head. I've also got a few Cryolophosaurus figures as well. This first one is dark blue with white, red, and orange detailing, and has an action button that you can use to control the head. And this second Cryolophosaurus figure is bright yellow with brown detailing along the top and the orange right along the top of the head. Right here are a few basic Dilophosaurus figures. This first one is a soft green color all over its body, and it has the red coloring right along its frills and the crown. And this second Dilophosaurus is a dark red color, and it has the green and orange coloring right along its frills, and the yellow on the crown too. Next up is the Rajasaurus from the Jurassic World Dominion collection. This dinosaur has an action that when you press down on the body, it chomps. Next up, I believe this is the Majungasaurus. It's got a dark green body with yellow and blue as well. And here is one of the stars of the new Jurassic World Dominion movie. This is the Giganotosaurus, and it comes with sound effects too. Here are a few Ankylosauruses from the original Jurassic World movie. This first one is brown and tan in color, has a little bit of battle damage on the side. This one right here is a special edition because it has a removable protective shell on top of its spikes, as well as on the back of its tail right here, and is a gray color, but it also has some reflective green and blue coloring all throughout. Next up, we've got a basic raptor figure. This is Velociraptor Blue, and this figure is fairly adjustable. You can move the arms, the legs, and tail just a little bit. This is an interesting looking dinosaur. This is a Concavinator. It's got some super bright coloring along its back and on its face too. This figure, I believe, is an Ankylosaurus. This dinosaur has the super long neck and all these spikes right along its back, and it has an action button to control the head. We've also got a few Triceratops figures back here. This first one is a clay red color with brown detailing right along the top. And this second one is a dark brown color with two tones of blue right along the top. Next up, we've got a Megaraptor from the Jurassic World Dominion series. This figure has a chomping action that you can activate by pressing down on its body. This dinosaur figure is the Nasutoceratops. It's got the blue, red, and green body with the lighter underbelly and an action button to activate the head and the tail. This huge figure is the Pentaceratops. It's got a tan body with gray detailing along the top and an action button to break free from its face cage. Looks like we have a few more Indominus Rex figures back here. This first one is the larger of the two. It has battle damage right on the side that you can open and close, and you can use the tail to activate the jaw. And this second Indominus Rex figure is a bit smaller. It has permanent battle damage on the side, and you can use the tail to activate the jaw and the neck. This, I believe, is a Spinosaurus. It's got the green body with the tan detailing all over. It's got a little bit of orange on the top of its head, too. And I've got a few Stegosaurus figures in here as well. This one is a teal blue color with a lighter underbelly and has an action button to swing the tail back and forth. This next Stegosaurus figure is a darker blue-gray color and is very much similar and has the same action button to swing the tail around. And this final Stegosaurus is brown, tan, and green in color, and actually has a different action button that when you press right here, it swings its entire back body back and forth. That's different than the other two figures that I have. This next figure, I believe, is a Kentrosaurus, and it has a brown body and a slide lever action to activate the swinging back and forth with those two front spikes. Over here, we've got a few more Ankylosauruses from Jurassic World. This first one has a clay red body with the brown on top and the tan spikes. And this second one has a dark brown belly with the gray spikes and the green and gray all over the top. I've also got a few more Velociraptors from the Amber collection. Here is the bright green one with gray detailing and the gray underbelly. Here is the brown Velociraptor with the light underbelly and the gray detailing along the top. We've also got this gray Velociraptor, I believe is Velociraptor Blue. And I've also got this bright teal Velociraptor with the lighter underbelly. This figure is another Parasaurolophus. It's got the yellow body with the bright pink or purple coloring right along the top. Here is an Iguanodon that I bought just recently. It has a tan body with a darker brown top and the striping, and has a head swinging action when you press down on the body. This is the Baryonyx from the Hammond collection, and is very adjustable with all the limbs in its body. I've also got a few Atrociraptors in here. This first one is tan and in the sneaking pose, and this second one is the classic gray color with the brown striping. Next, I've got the Miragaia with the huge spikes on its side, and I believe this is the Shringosaurus with a much smaller spikes right on its shoulders. I've also got tons of Velociraptors in here. This first one is bright red and green and is actually one of the jumping Velociraptors. This other Velociraptor is one of the normal ones, but is gray in color and has the dark blue coloring right along the top. I've got even more Velociraptors. This first one has the extreme battle damage on the side. This next Velociraptor is another one of the jumping Velociraptors and is a bright teal color. And this Velociraptor is dark red with a purple stripe right down the sides. And here's even some more Velociraptor figures. This first one is Velociraptor Blue in the Springing series. Here is another Velociraptor Blue figure, but this one is the Battle Damage edition that you can open and close. Here is a classic brown Velociraptor with the bright green eyes. And here is Velociraptor Beta, a much smaller and younger Velociraptor. Here are a couple Dimetrodon figures. This first one is a gray-blue color along its body with a bright red and yellow speckled spine. This other figure is actually a Battle Damage edition that you can turn on and off. It has the green body with the bright red spine. This brightly colored figure is the Moros Intrepidus, and it's got the teal body with the bright orange tail. I've also got a few Rarest figures in here as well. First one is a gray-blue color with a lighter detailing along the top. And this second one actually has battle damage on the side, and the rest of its body is green with brown detailing along the top. Next up, I've got a few Monolophosaurus figures in here. This first one is a darker brown color with gray detailing, and this other Monolophosaurus is a bright lime green with darker green detailing right along its back, and the red right next to its nose. Here we've got some herbivore figures. This is the Dracorex in the lime green color. This next herbivore is a Stygimoloch, I believe. It's got the huge spikes right next to its hard head, and the rest of its body is a clay red color with some darker detailing. And this figure is a Pachycephalosaurus. It's got the green on the belly and the clay red on top, and an action button for the head hammering. Here are a few more Dilophosaurus figures, but a lot smaller. This first one is brown and blue with some white in the frill. This next one is a deep purple color with red on the back and yellow and red right along the frills. And this final Dilophosaurus is green on the belly, black on the back, and it's got some red and yellow in the frills. We've got a few more herbivores in here. Here is a Battle Damage Edition Triceratops with the battle damage right along the side. We've also got a Minmi figure that is green in color, and it's got the spikes all along its back. And I believe that this one is a Cosmoceratops and is very decorative in the front. Next up, we've got a Protoceratops that is purple in color, and it's got the yellow detailing along the top. This figure I think might be an Iguanodon, but I'm actually not sure, but it is dark blue along the sides and the bottom, and it's got the orange-yellow detailing along the top. And this figure is another Parasaurolophus. This is a light brown color on the belly and the sides, and it's got the darker detailing along its back. And here are our last 3 dinosaurs out of these 2 huge bins. We've first got a baby Brachiosaurus that is light green on the sides and a darker green along the top. Here is a Sauropelta with the huge spikes on the top. And finally, the good old Zunoceratops with the 2 spikes in the front and the dark blue along the top and its back, and the rest of its body is a light green color. Want to see more dino videos? Click the subscribe button now.